Good morning, everybody. It is Brenda and Dr. Dave back here with What If Positive Possibilities. How you doing, Dr. Dave?
What if? I'm doing fantastic, thanks.
Awesome. It's a
Tabulous.
Monday and might rain, it might not. Who knows? But
In
was a
in
wonderful
here,
weekend.
it's the weather is what window you're looking out. Because out the front side, there's blue skies and clouds. Out this side, over the bay, you can barely see across it because there's literally a sheet of water and rain. It's fun.
Interesting.
It's
So you
beautiful.
have those weather patterns like we do, like 5 minutes away when I lived in my house. My friend Vanessa lived here, and it'd be like, there's a blizzard. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's sunny out. And she's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, I'm coming to get you because we're gonna do this because there is no blizzard. I don't know what you're seeing. And I would drive through this wall like 5 minutes from here, just around the corner. And she's like, see, I'm like, just wait, just wait. And then it's like, oh, the sky's parted and the sunshine is out. So yeah, pretty crazy, these weather
Oh,
patterns that we have.
I cannot wait for this what if because I've got a very different thinking that's happening right now than the oils, but it's gonna be fun. Because
Mm,
what you were just talking about, that I'm like, as we're discussing and talking, one for ourselves of what window are you looking out of? So, it's like, how good is that? Like,
that
oh,
is very good.
I don't like that window. I'm looking out this one with blue sky. So, but there's definitely a time that like, no, I just want to lick the window and stare out at the rain and ponder life, you know.
Yeah,
But then just like you were talking about with Vanessa, what's the weather in your world, even though it's 5 minutes away?
yeah.
It's all about perceptions. So, oh, I can't wait for this one. This will be fun.
I'm just writing all these down because the next edition is
It's
getting
out of
made
February.
as we speak.
Awesome. Literally, I hadn't actually went back and thought about a lot of the episodes that we've done, and I recognize some of those patterns, especially with the oils, I think. But that's really fun to see how things are coming up, and I think almost every time, almost every episode, I don't know that we've ever had one that there wasn't the next like, oh, oh, incoming, oh, another one.
Absolutely. And just all the creations that we have done, the courses that we've created from the what if, just as we're going, it's like, oh, that popped in. Oh, here's another seed of possibility. Okay, let's create that. So, and it's really, really cool to see that so that you can see it happening in real life in the present moment right now. It's not, you know, I haven't chosen this, like there is no markers in here at all. I'm just asking the universe what it is today, and from there it has a life of its own, and it's always an adventure with Dr. Dave and I, and we always have lots
Mhm.
of fun. But it's interesting to see, so when you get these suggestions or messages, to act on them. Don't go, oh, that was a really good idea. And then just let it go. The universe is like, hey, here's a next step you could take to move you towards your goal. How about that? And you're like, yeah, that's a really nice idea. I like that. I'm not going to do anything with it, but it was a nice idea all the same. So
Until about the
yeah.
fourth time, hopefully, you don't need a two by
When the
four
yeah,
to.
the 2x4 comes out and goes, all right, you know what, we're gonna knock you down until you listen. I've had that happen before, and that is not pleasant. So you don't want that. You just want to, okay, universe, I'm listening, what do you got for me today?
Mhm.
So let's take a nice deep breath in and out. And what has the universe got for us today? What if today, oh, this is a good one. I removed all excuses and moved forward. Ooh, excuses? Do you have excuses? No. Maybe
Wow.
procrastination, perhaps? Let's see. Are you a go-getter? Jumping in with both feet, ready to take on whatever needs to be done? Are you solution-oriented and there's nothing that you can't solve? Or are you a person who sees the problem and really isn't interested about finding a solution? Do you know anybody like that? Or are you that
I,
person?
yeah.
Just a question to ask yourself. You do a self-evaluation on that one. It's up to you. If you are a solution-oriented person, awesome. The world needs more of you. The great inventors and movers and shakers of this world, did we not just talk about peppermint and they were movers and shakers? Interesting. Very, very interesting. So the great inventors and movers and shakers of this world were people who saw the problem and went to figure out a solution. I think they also use peppermint oil because that
Right.
they
Smell
took
that page.
action. Yeah. They took action and the world is a better place because of them. Now, for those who see all the problems, what is stopping you from going a bit further and finding a solution? It is a great skill to see what could go wrong because you are then prepared in case things do. The issue is, if you stopped every time there was a problem, how could you possibly move forward with anything in your life unless it had a solution? Imagine Thomas Edison decided to give up when he encountered the first problem with the light bulb. He realized that there were problems with his design and wasn't willing to look for a solution and figured it was better to give up now. Can you imagine if that had happened? Well, I'm sure we probably wouldn't have like all of this, or, we wouldn't have electricity and light bulbs and light. Can you imagine if that had happened? Like, just take a moment and think. Just try and wrap your head around if Thomas Edison had not invented the light bulb, if he had just given up on the very first try, what our lives could have been like just because somebody decided to give up. What luxuries, which we now see as basic needs, would we not have today if he hadn't kept going? What wonderful plans do you have that you've only seen problems with? I know that if you looked a little closer, you could come up with a solution and move forward. You may have the next invention that could help millions of people. Will you stop now, or will you remove the excuses, become solution-based, move forward, and rock your life? Now there is a question for the day. So think back to the goals that every one of you have made, because I know that everybody's, doing the work and have the goals. And you're just like, man, this isn't working. I'm not feeling it. I'm going to give up now. What if you were like Thomas Edison and this changes the trajectory of the future because you decide to stop right now? And that is very possible. It is something that could happen because each one of those inventors started out as just somebody wanting to do something good in the world, just like each and every one of us want to. And who knows where that will take us, depending on what our commitment is and whether we decide to find solutions to what we're doing. If we just gave up, future things could go back and go, oh my goodness, they were right there, and they gave it up. And for future generations, whatever you were planning to do just kind of didn't exist, which is pretty sad. So finding problems is good, but come back with a solution to it. There's a two-part there. It's not like, oh, well, here's the problem. Okay, well, what's the solution for that? What could we do to change that? That's where the skills come in that are really needed to move you forward. Even in business and in work, if you come to your boss and are always complaining about all the problems, but you don't come back with solutions, how long are you going to be at that job? Because nobody wants to hear about all the problems. They want to know solutions so that they can move forward and, think outside the box. Maybe think of some really cool solutions that nobody else has. Like Thomas Edison says, I haven't made mistakes. I found 10,000 ways not to create a light bulb. That's all. Pretty simple. And all inventors, everybody, like painters, famous people, they didn't just all of a sudden become masters at what they did. They didn't just say, like Picasso's like, oh, and there was a painting. No, we worked at it. They practiced, just like we need to practice every day what we're doing. We don't just all of a sudden become masters at our craft. It takes, what is it, 10,000 hours working on something to actually become a master at it. So you going, all right, well, I'm going to paint this, and oh, that didn't work out too well, so I'm going to give it up now. Well, might want to try again, and then try again, and try again, and just keep trying. Because one of these days, something's going to click, and it's going to be, okay. But that will have shifted your perception as well. And as we're talking about perception, it's all about every time something happens, the lesson is that you learn it. You don't just go, well, that's a problem, and just, walk the other way. Well, it's going to continue to be a problem because you're not looking at it and going, okay, this is a challenge, instead of seeing it as a problem. So changing that perspective, that you don't see problems, they're challenges. It's like, all right, I'm up for this challenge. Let's take a look at this. What can we do differently? How can I look at this differently? What's the lesson here so that I can move forward and move to the next challenge, so that you're still moving forward. And, it's just that change in perception. It's the change in your wording, because words have energy. Just like when Dr. Dave and I say, we have taken out the word try in the vocabulary, because it's like, I'm going to try to do that. Well, that's just a wussy word, because really, are you really going to try? It doesn't have that statement of commitment. It doesn't have the energy of, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to rock my freaking goals, and that's the end of it. I'm going to try, say it for yourself. You've got your goals. Say, well, I'm going to try and do this. Or say, I'm going to rock this action step, and it's going to take me to the next, whatever it is. Feel the energy within you, because it's very, very important. So instead of seeing the problems where it's like, oh, there's problems, I can't deal with problems. Okay, this is a challenge. Real life TV, all the things, it's challenges. Everybody's up for a challenge. Yeah, I can do this. Just see it as a challenge, and then rock it and move forward. Dr. Dave.
Yeah, I love, that whole try thing. It's we say it all the time, and repeat this because it is really that important for folks to understand that this the subconscious mind hears try, and that is giving permission to fail. And so if you start then looking through that lens of I'm giving myself the permission to fail at whatever, and insert the rest of it. That's what happens when we use that word try. And so it's pretty much like, yeah, I don't think I'll get there, or I don't have to get there even, but I'm gonna look like I am. That is what try actually means. That's how it gets translated. First, what page was that on? Did
Oh,
you close
thank you for
already?
that. 312 and 313.
Thank you. I'm using my handy dandy Kindle app. Three what?
Ooh, 312 and 313. It's a two-pager.
It's yeah, as it should be.
Mm.
Uh, you, taking out can you just read that sentence about excuses, please?
Oh, okay. Will you stop now, or will you remove the excuses, become solution-based, and move forward
Yeah.
and rock your life?
Yeah, that is such gold. It's just, oh, that's why I wanted to hear it again because it just brings you right into that. Yes, let's go, send it kind of energy. I as a therapist, um, and even as a friend, that's one of the things that I get to do so often. I don't want to do this, but it's most of what the work is of me helping folks identify their excuses.
Hmm.
That's what it's really about. There's that if your reality is not the goal, if you can read what's on your page for your goal and it's not what you're presently living, the only thing in between are excuses. Let me
Oh,
say that
that's
again.
good.
That so read your goal, whatever you've written down, and then what is happening right now, the present moment. If that is not exactly what you just wrote down, the only thing between that is excuses. That's it. Bottom, there's nothing more clear than that statement. It's excuses. Because that then can come at me with just about anything you got to tell me why and what else might be in between your goal and reality. And I'm going to let you know, I'm going to show you how exactly it is that that is an excuse. Well, there's this, there's that, there's the excuses, excuses, excuses. That sounds simple, but it's so complex because it's all the things that we've put in there so we don't have to have that as a reality. Either we don't, believe that we should or could. It can, we don't think that it's in our realm of possibility even. All of these things still, again, are excuses.
Beliefs are excuses. The past is an excuse. Worrying about the future is an excuse, just like we said in Nature's Divas this morning. It's all you've
Yeah.
got the present right now, just like you were saying. There's the
hmm
present. What's it looking for right now?
hmm So, and it doesn't necessarily that this isn't an invitation for you to beat yourself up That's not what this is. It's most definitely the approach of recognizing that I'm just giving myself excuses. So what is going to look like differently? So just as the book says, of being solution based and making sure that keeping that end in mind. So what is that goal? Now, what do I need to do to make that the reality? Not what excuses do I have to overcome? Let that go. Just call it for what they are. Let's get centered and focused on that solution based movement, action based movement to get to that place of our goal becoming our reality. That feels good.
Absolutely.
And there's so many folks that I can see where people will pop off on beating themselves up, and that's where they get stuck. Like, no, you're absolutely right. It's just all excuses. Yeah. No, that's not where you stop. That's just a starting point, because once we identify, now we get to start eliminating any and all of those things as excuses. We're going to change those into action steps. And that is how we have our goal become our reality. What excuses am I telling myself? What excuses am I giving the universe? What excuses am I giving my spouse? What excuses am I giving work? Any and all of those things, that is the only thing between you, your goal, and your reality.
Mhm.
Every time I hear that coming out, I'm just like, whoa, man, it feels so good.
It
And
does.
it's empowering, and it's doable. It's you can actualize that. You know that you can. That's already coming from a space of, I already know. I'm assuming. No, I'm not assuming. I am in full well knowing that I can do this. I am doing this. And so again, coming back into that present statement. Sorry, squirrel moment. Big old semi truck coming down our road, which does not happen. It's
Wow.
like, oh,
How'd that get across the ferry?
carefully.
Mm, very carefully.
Yeah, and it's not fun being on the ferry when that happens.
I bet.
Um, so today, I think that as we're looking at the what if challenge for today, is removing those. How about it's not even just necessarily remove. If you're going to remove, fantastic, awesome, good on you. Just identifying what we're using as excuses, fillers, because that's just infusing more time before your goal can be your present. Oh, man.
I
Wow.
love this transcription that's coming out. It's like,
Wow.
woohoo, this is good stuff. But it's that awareness. It's the awareness
Mm,
to call yourself on it. Call
yeah.
bullshit. No, it's
Yes.
bullshit. And
Yes.
call it. Call it what it
Mm,
is. All right. I'm using excuses. Okay. What are you going to do? I'm going to choose something different. Oh my goodness. Because each moment you can choose something different. Because each moment in time is your present. So, all right, you've been making excuses up till now. It's in the past. What are you going to do right now? Choose something
mm,
different.
mm,
Choose an action step, and then choose another one, and choose another one, and choose another one, and keep going. And then there might be a day where you just don't want to choose anything. And that's okay, because that's a choice as well. But whatever it is that you are doing, do it fully. So if you're taking a break for yourself, if you're taking some self-care and want to binge watch Netflix for a day, that's okay.
mm.
But don't then beat yourself up going, oh, well, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. No. So you know what? Today's my day. I'm doing some self-care on myself and I am going to love this. Or maybe it's eating an ice cream cone. That's good too. And enjoy it. And then the next moment, choose to eat healthy. It's that simple. But as Dr. Dave said, it's not about beating yourself up about it. It's about acknowledging, calling bullshit on whatever your ego's saying and going, okay, I'm done with the excuses. I'm going to choose something different. And I'm going to choose an action step. And I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose to be committed to me to do this so that I can live the life that I've chosen. This is a good one.
Absolutely, for sure. I want to come back to what you were talking about, the whole guilt part of things. Of if you're going to do that whole binge watching and taking a day out, how you make that not an excuse is not attaching guilt to that choice. And so let me say that one more time is if how you change that an excuse into action is removing the guilt from whatever that action is going to be. So if you're going to take that day out or you're just going to do a Netflix kind of day and just binge watch and zone out, okay, great. You don't take on a helping of guilt with it because then you might as well just fumble through everything else because it's now not impactful. It's not recharging. It's not doing what you actually say that you want that space to do, even. It's another excuse because you're attaching guilt to it. To give more of an example of that is when I get to work with folks about weight management. And there's so many restrictions with a lot of different diet systems and things like that. Well, in the virtual gastric band program that I run with folks is telling everyone that there's nothing that is off menu. You can eat anything you choose. Anything. There's nothing you can't have. The caveat and the only way that that works in a healthy way is if you're going to have ice cream, yes, please, or if it's going to be chocolate, or it's going to be whatever that thing is that you're on other programs cheating with, do not take on the guilt with it. Enjoy it full on. It is your experience in that present moment. And that's why I tell folks I need you to love your choice of giving yourself the gift of whatever that thing is that means joy to you or a reward to you has nothing to do with the amount of what you're having. So it has nothing to do with the whole bucket of popcorn. Um, it is just being able to have it and enjoy it with zero guilt because that guilt has weight and that literally is then what you're feeding your body is you're feeding more weight and it has nothing to do with that it was chocolate or bread or pasta. It has nothing to do with that. It's the weight is what guilt is made of. Think about how we look at um, guilt. We always say that, it's I just have this weight on me. It literally is weight. And so all of the weight that we're having, in our physical body that we're holding on to is guilt also. So as we release that guilt, we're releasing weight. So asking ourselves, what are we carrying with us? Whether it's in our tissue as weight, physical mass, or is it the emotional baggage, again, weight, and its guilt about something. So if we shift and change that and bring it all back into, how about we just enjoy it for what it is? That's it. That's it. Done. Okay, like tomorrow I'm gonna do those action steps that make me feel lighter and happier, following our bliss, keeping that end in mind, remembering what those goals are that we're trying to move and shift into. and become our reality. So as we remove excuses, then we get into the space of allowing ourselves to just fully immerse ourselves in that gift that we're giving, that has no place for guilt. It's going to shift and change everything. And the that analogy, or comparison, snapshot, whatever you want to call that, of your reality and your goal and the stuff in between, those are excuses that are attached most times to some part of guilt. And so now we're weighing ourselves down, we're slowing that timeline down again, so we're infusing that time before our goal becomes the reality, collapse all of that stuff in the middle. That's kind of what we do in our workshops, is helping folks collapse and eject out any of the time stoppers or slowers, meaning all of the excuses. Good God, there's a lot of info to unpack there today.
Mm-hmm. Do a
Fun.
class just on that one for sure.
Yeah, I really hope and pray that this really speaks to a lot of folks, because that, being able to just hear that and then using that filter and lens to re-examine what's happening in our lives, or more importantly, what's not happening in our lives
Mm,
and that we're wanting it to be. Here's some of the biggest obstacles that we've already placed in it, so that it's not our reality. So very simply and easily, how we can change and shift that.
absolutely. It's the shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we're placing those on ourselves because all we really have is to consciously create. We choose. There's no shoulda, woulda, couldas, because we choose to do it, we choose not to do it, or we choose to just not do anything at all. Those are your choices. And each moment is another choice. There's no, well, I should have done that. Well, no, if you didn't want to do it, you don't do it. If you want to, you choose to do it. That's it. And there's no guilt attached to that, because we are consciously creating our life. And that's really important. And it's that simple. So take some time to meditate on that. You consciously create your life. There is no expectations of shoulda, woulda, coulda. The only person putting expectations on that is you, from guilt, which isn't there. It's your ego going, oh, I should have done that. Oh, well, we should do this. No, no. Check in with your heart and go, is this something I choose to do out of love? Yes. Okay. I choose to do that. If it's like, no, I don't feel it, then no. Or I'm going to have to take some time and think about that. And that's what you do until you can make a decision what feels right for you. And that's it. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
So lots
It
of
really
good
can be.
stuff today,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So any
Oh, it's so
last
fun.
comments, Dr. Dave? Any last?
Yeah. I would really love to hear from everyone. Even just a really fast, quick note, if they want to put in the comments, whenever they listen or watch. Um, what is the most important realization? What is the most time stopping excuse do you have right now that you realized while we were um, talking about this, and we're reevaluating that, the time that's in between our goal and reality? And so, what is the one thing that you realize today is an excuse? When I get really, really honest, if I'm being really honest, this is the excuse. I want to hear those. Um, we, because when we can see that and hear it, and then you put it out there, it's super beneficial because one, we're getting to understand where other folks are coming from and the challenges that they're going through and working through. But also, it's you actually calling it out, calling it into the light because you're actually putting it out there and it's not just living in your head.
Mhm.
And so now it's like, I got you right there, right there. I even put it on the net. Is how much I got you. No, we're not doing that. So that can be a really easy, fun, releasing aspect of our journey together. So please, I really, really want to be able to see folks being able to say, this is that excuse that I've now labeled and identified of my why there's time between my goal and reality.
That's awesome. Yes, please do that. It's always nice to hear what's landing with people so that we know
Mhm.
that, this is connecting with you and this is resonating with you. So we love to hear your feedback. So, well, this was a
Awesome.
wonderful, wonderful what if today. And just in leaving, because this was a 2-pager and I had some extra space on the page. So the statement that I'm going to
Mm.
leave everybody with is, what is the best childhood memory that brings you joy? Think about that today and let that carry you this week, wherever you are in the world. And just think of that memory that brings you joy and fill your heart and live from a
What is
place of
the
love and joy. What
what
is the
is the
best
best child?
childhood memory that brings you joy?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody have a
So fun.
wonderful, wonderful week wherever you are. And Dr. Dave and I will see you back here next Monday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time and for another Nature's Divas and What If. So take care
Yeah.
and we'll
Bye,
see you soon.
everyone.